Hey everyone, welcome to Cyber-Conversations, the show where it's okay to agree to disagree. Today, Vern and I are continuing our discussion about Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Where we left off, we were talking about Supreme Chancellor Snoke, and I hope that you enjoyed the show. So we meet Snoke, and then what comes after that? Oh, so the Falcon goes to meet Maz Kanata, and
Oh yeah,
I'm so I
goggle lady.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got the impression, maybe I'm wrong, but I got the impression she was supposed to be uh kind of a female version of, to a lesser degree, of Yoda. Like
I
she
guess.
wasn't using the Force, but she seemed very sensitive to
Well,
it
honestly, Josh, where did you get that idea?
based on her, like what she said and how she acted.
Yeah,
She
like
just
you
seemed,
have to guess that because there's no background for her. There's
well,
no
that's what we
backstory.
guessed
There's
from
no
Yoda too.
explanation. What?
We got from Yoda when he first shows up. We don't know all the stuff that he was going to, we would eventually find out he did. We just knew he was a Jedi Master, but we didn't know how Jedi Masters acted, and we got Yoda. The way Maz Kanata acts, that was the impression I got. I don't think that it's that different. We aren't told much about her. We just know she's a mysterious character. But when we meet her, the way she acts reminded me of Yoda.
Okay.
So I don't like, I'm willing to say you're right. We don't know enough about her, and I would have liked to see more about who she is and how she got to be there and what her backstory is. Where does she know Han from, and why does she think Chewbacca is supposed to be her boyfriend? Um, Not that I would have minded, but it was a
Yeah,
cute thing.
that's
Um,
all fine. That's all fine.
yeah,
I
but I
just feel
like the
like
way.
the thing is we got the reward with Yoda. We never got the reward with this character. We never really found she never does anything that even I'm talking about an actual action. She
Mhm.
never performs any action that's like, oh wow, okay, so she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, but
Just it
again,
doesn't take much. I would have taken 2-3 seconds of screen time. But
yeah.
it should have been something flooring. It should have been like, oh damn, I guess now I see why she's an authority.
Yeah, but I wonder if that was also something that Ryan Johnson got rid of. Maybe she was supposed to be more fleshed out in the second movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe.
I would
I don't know.
love
As
to.
we keep saying all these things that Ryan Johnson may have ruined, let's keep in mind that Josh actually has The Last Jedi as his favorite of the Disney movies.
Mm, yeah,
So
well, because
I'm curious to find out how you're going to defend all these things that Ryan Johnson ruined, and yet he made the
well, see,
best movie.
I'm not saying he ruined them, but I think he did get rid of some ideas that I am curious about. That I would love to know what J.J. Abrams was thinking. Because I mean, I don't know if he'll even admit it, because I think he would have said by now, uh, you know, after The Last Jedi came out, I realized that my whole plan had been, destroyed and I had to come up with something else. But he never said that. But I would like, if I was his best friend, I would like to take him aside and say, what were you really planning on doing? Because I want to know. I have a feeling that he intended it to go in a different direction.
Hmm.
I'm not saying Ryan Johnson destroyed it because yes, I loved The Last Jedi. I thought it was a masterpiece. But and I'm saying that hesitantly because it's still not on the level of The Empire Strikes Back, not even close. I wouldn't even put it on the same level as A New Hope, but I loved it.
Well, that's the next conversation.
Yeah. In any case, so we meet Maz Kanata, and she basically tells us, you know, I mean, this is when everything starts coming together. She's giving us warnings, and at the same time, we're seeing uh, um, the destruction of the First Republic. I mean, of the New Republic, because that all happens at the same time. I think.
Yeah, it did all happen simultaneously. This is also
Yeah.
when we're going to see the X-wings come in for the first time too, right?
Pretty soon. First, we
Yeah.
have Rey finds the lightsaber. I believe it's Anakin's light. Was it Luke's lightsaber?
Yeah, that's another one that's really kind of a coincidental MacGuffin moment, but I'll let it slide because Ray is our force sensitive person, so she knows
Yeah.
things. She even though she doesn't understand the things that she knows, she knows them instinctually.
Yeah.
So okay, whatever, that's fine. We should also mention the conversation between her and Han Solo where he's telling her about how the force is real and all that.
Yeah. He
It's like
told her that it's real, and he
that
also
one
offered
that
her a
one
job.
that one sticks in my craw a little bit because it's like why are we talking about this like it's ancient legend? This isn't 2,500 years that the ring
Yeah.
passed out of all knowledge.
Yeah.
This
That
is
was
a
something that
generation
bothered
ago.
me.
Why are we talking about like the Jedi were everywhere? They were recognized as like cops. They
Yeah.
weren't a big secret. So I don't understand why in some parts of Star Wars we act like they were a big secret, and in other parts of Star Wars we act like they just roam the streets and do what they want to do and break up their lightsabers when they need to, and everybody sort of helps them and feeds them and get out of their way because they know that they're the good guys.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't understand why no one remembered the Jedi and didn't know it was real. Like they've passed into legend. That didn't make sense to me. Um,
Yeah.
it's
There's a
only
lot
been
of that
50
in Star
years.
Wars. I feel like between Lucas and Disney, there's a lot of vacillation between the Jedi are legend and the Jedi are everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's, I make up your mind. It's, yeah, I get it. The galaxy's a big place. Maybe on Coruscant they're well known. Maybe on Tatooine they're not well known. But it just seems like something like that would be something that, I mean, there's probably a Jedi that has been near or in your village within the course of your lifetime doing something, having a drink, saving your life, something in between. There's probably nobody in the Star Wars galaxy that isn't somehow at least secondarily affected by what the Jedi do. So let's stop pretending that they're some myth from 1,000 years ago because they're not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll
Yeah.
let that go. I'll let that slide because you know
Well,
why?
and it did
Because
it.
Disney's not the only one guilty of that. There's
Mhm.
that's actually a Star Wars thing that I just feel like needed to be fixed way back in the day. And so I'm gonna let that slide too.
Okay. But yeah, I mean I was bothered by that too. It didn't make sense that people wouldn't remember the Jedi. It's only been 50 years.
Yeah.
But in any case, um so Finn wants to leave. Rey asks him not to leave. He finally tells her the truth. He's not part of the resistance. Yeah, but he tells her completely the truth. He was a stormtrooper and he deserted because he didn't want to kill innocent people. And she forgives him or something, and he leaves anyway. And she finds Luke's lightsaber. And then she has a force vision, which I'm completely okay with because she doesn't really know how to control the force. But we have seen the force can have a lingering effect on
Yeah, and let's
objects.
also add that the force is not sort of an ever-present energy field. It's not just an ever-present energy field. It's sentient. It
Yeah,
has a will. It has a desire and a will, and it's watching and it's moving things in the direction that it wants them to go. And so right now, especially with Luke gone, and especially with no Jedi Council, which Luke was supposed to reestablish, and no Jedi Temple, and no Jedi Order, which Luke was supposed to reestablish, with none of that, it's possible Rey is the only actively force using person in the whole galaxy, which means arguably the entire will of the force is focused like a laser on this one person, which does open up the possibility for this person to be quite intuitive and powerful. So I will grant all of that.
yeah. So she sees a series of visions, um, and it kind of upsets her because I'm guessing because she already doesn't know if she's going to be, a good guy or a bad guy. But I'm not really sure. I do know that it upsets her. She's lying on the ground, and what happens next? Oh, well, right after that is when the destruction of the New Republic happens.
Oh yeah, right.
So we
Yeah,
get the permission
and
to
that's
fire.
rough. that's rough on me because
Yeah,
like
because you never saw
I
them.
don't even know what it is that you're blowing up, you know. But
Yeah.
I will try to be gracious and say, look, Alderaan blew up in the first movie, and we didn't know. Like I didn't know what Alderaan looked like until
Until episode
uh,
3.
uh episode 3. What?
You get a glimpse of Alderaan
Yeah, we
at
get a
the
glimpse of it. I don't really know what Alderaan is like until the Obi-Wan series.
yeah. Yeah, that's the
Like
first
I
time
was
we
thrilled.
actually
That's
see
probably
it.
my favorite part about that whole series that they finally 25, 30 years later, they finally show us what that planet was like and why it was so tragic that the Empire blew it up.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm just going to go ahead and be a little gracious and say, man, if you're going to blow up the old Republic, let's at least see what they built before you destroy it.
Yeah.
But okay, they didn't really do it with Alderaan, so I'll let them get away with it.
Yeah, but that did bother me. Like we said earlier, I would have liked to see the New Republic. I would have
You know,
liked to see that it was built because we
yeah,
we know that it
yeah.
exists because we've been told it, but we never see it.
Yeah, but you know what the real problem is though is not that is really not that they didn't show it, but that that was the whole point of all the struggle. Every single battle that we saw in Star Wars Empire and Jedi, every single battle we saw, every little explosion that happened in the background was a life perishing in fire because they believed in something. And we even got to see the prequels, so we get to see what they lost. We got to see how good it was before the Empire destroyed it all. So the whole point of all that suffering and hard work and death was to restore what they had lost. And we never even got a chance to see it restored before it was blown up again.
Hmm.
That's my problem.
Yeah,
It's the undoing of what was done, not so
and that
much
kind
the
of continues, like without saying, because
yeah,
I, because
it
I
does.
am a big fan of the Disney Plus shows that have come out since then.
Yeah.
I love almost all of them, but I will say in the shows that take place like during this time when we do see the New Republic, like in The Mandalorian and
Yeah.
the shows around that, the New Republic doesn't know what the hell it's doing. It's a bunch of people that can't figure shit out, and
Yeah.
they're doing
Yeah.
everything exactly like the Empire.
Yeah,
They're
and that this is what all these people suffered and died for. This is what we sat in our seats cheering to see happen. Like it's that's it just seems disrespectful to me. Like it disrespects everything that all those people struggled to accomplish.
well, the only thing is that it does seem to be it happens in real life. Like
Yes, it
that's
does.
and that's
I
I
get
think
it,
the point is
but
that
it's but
we fought and we fought as hard as we could so that we could be free of the empire, and then we made the same mistakes which led to another empire coming back. And who knows, but
yeah, but this is
if
fiction
they
though. So well, that's what's the moral of the story? Fiction's job is not to reproduce reality, especially when it's a magical story from another galaxy about space wizards.
yeah, but
This we don't
remember,
need more we're drowning in reality already. Give us something to believe in.
well,
Give us a
remember
model of what it should look like.
remember that they have just greenlit a movie where Rey is starting a new Jedi Order.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, who
They
knows? It,
greenlit a
it could,
lot of movies that they never actually made.
yeah.
So I think I have me and the rest of the fandom. We have plenty of precedent to be able to say whatever
Well, to be
Disney make it,
skeptical.
and then we'll believe it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to hold my breath, but if they do,
I was
maybe
really looking
they
forward to the Rogue Squadron movie. Really looking forward to that.
that's still on the table. It's just,
Yeah, that's what I
who
hear.
knows?
Yeah,
You know, and Patty Jenkins is the one who's supposed to direct it, and she gave us the
I've got
first.
no problem with that.
Yeah, she gave us the first Wonder Woman movie, which was excellent, and she gave us the second movie, which really sucked. It's one of
Which
the
I
few
really
movies I've
liked.
walked out. I rarely walk out of a movie, but I came really close with Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, I
But
like that
that's
movie.
a completely different. We might cover that sometime. Me and if not you, then me and Bob.
You guys are
We'll
doing the superhero stuff. I don't know. You're
yeah.
doing Marvel. It'll be quite a long time before you get around to DC. But
We're actually no, actually, and for the viewers, this is just a tease right now. But right now, it looks like after we do the Star Wars movies, the plan is that I'm going to be broadcasting with Bob, and I think we're doing the DC movies first before we do the Marvel movies because the DC movies consist of far fewer movies than Marvel.
sorry, folks. Josh is firing me. Hopefully,
I'm
Pop
not
is entertaining
firing you.
too.
We've talked about this before, so I assumed that it didn't need to be repeated. But
No, nah.
no, Vern
It's
is
actually me having done my Star Wars bid, and now Josh is going to do his MCU bid, which is also a very very popular franchise, which
we
I
are
could probably
talking.
also do.
We are going to talk about. Well, the plan has always been for me to get back with Vern to do either the rest of the Star Wars stuff, meaning the other two movies and the TV shows, or for us to do Star Trek. But either way, those are going to be huge undertakings. If we do
Yep.
all the Star Wars shows, then we're talking about Rogue One and Solo and Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Andor, the
Yeah,
Clone
we'll just
Wars.
be doing these Star Wars things
Yeah,
forever.
it'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
years and years. And if we do Star Trek, same thing.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started with Star Trek.
Yeah. So I'm not firing Vern. He needs a break, and because and part of it is because our internet hasn't been the most reliable, and we're trying to broadcast as much as we can. So that's the plan right now.
Back to the movie.
Yeah, that was our little commercial break. So,
Where we leave off,
well, we were talking about after
the
the
destruction of the
destruction
New
of the New
Republic.
Republic,
Yeah,
and then the First Order comes to the planet where Maz Kanata is. What Takadana, I believe, is called. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they attack Maz Kanata's castle, and they're flying in, and Finn grabs the lightsaber because Rey won't touch it again, and and
and I got
he
a problem
manages.
with Finn picking up a lightsaber for combat reasons, but as it is revealed later, Finn is force sensitive, and
Yeah,
so
and
I'm willing
Han,
to let that
well,
slide.
yeah, I mean, I was going to say Han did use a lightsaber, but he didn't use it for combat. He used it to
Oh yeah,
slice open a tauntaun.
using a lightsaber to cut a hole in the wall or slice open a tauntaun's guts is one thing, but using it in combat is another thing. Using it in combat against a trained Sith is entirely another thing.
Yeah, but we'll get there. That doesn't happen yet.
Yeah, that's not
In this
that's not
part,
yet.
Finn just fights against a stormtrooper, um, and he's saved by Han, and they're killing stormtroopers, and then the Resistance shows up with a bunch of X-wings led by Poe.
Finally
Um,
see the resistance. I
yeah.
mean, finally see the X-wings, which is really cool. It's obviously there's very few things that are more Star Wars than an X-wing fighter.
Yeah. And I always love seeing X-wings. And then a ship lands and we see Leia.
Yep.
And I was so happy to see Carrie Fisher. Bless you.
Excuse me.
I was very happy to see Carrie Fisher. And I was also happy to see C-3PO because he's finally back in the movie. Um, and we get the scene between Han and Leia where we kind of find out they've been estranged because of what happened with their son, and this is when they reveal that Kylo Ren is actually Ben Solo.
Yeah, I got a real problem with the whole. Oh, look, Leia and Han are in love with each other, and they're gonna live happily ever after. And then it's like, along with every single other disappointment, nope, they just got divorced. Just like your parents and everybody else in the 21st century modern world.
Yeah,
It's like
but
we even in a galaxy far, far away, we can't see marriages last a lifetime. That's really disappointing. It feels like more of like the environment at Disney reflecting into the fantasy rather than allowing the fantasy to inspire reality, which I feel like is more fantasy's place. But I know what you're gonna say. The stress that was caused by Ben and his shenanigans tore
yeah,
them apart,
if
which
anything
it's
could,
which makes sense. Which makes
yeah,
sense.
if anything was going to destroy a marriage, it would be losing a child like that. Losing a child in any form, whether
Yet
it's,
there are
a
many
child losing their
marriages
life
that
or
lost children and held together. So it's not like
yeah.
it's if you lose a child, you're definitely going to get divorced.
No,
I
I'm
just
not
feel like
saying that you're definitely going to, but it's
fantasy is a
definitely.
really good chance to sort of lay down an ideal so that we can see what it would look like if everything in life worked out the way we would hope that it would work out. And this was a missed opportunity in that. That's all.
Yeah, but But in any case, this is how they reveal that I keep saying Ben Skywalker, but that's not a thing. Um, Ben Solo is actually Kylo Ren, and and Han feels responsible. Like
Can't
Han
blame him.
feels. No, no. I think any good parent would feel responsible when
Yep.
their kid goes astray.
Yep. Agreed.
And Rey gets captured and brought to Starkiller Base. Um, and she's able to push back against Ren so that he can't read her mind. Um, because
This
he
was
was able.
after Ren tortured Poe, right, and got the
Yeah,
information that he wanted. So that's a good setup. They established that first of all, that Ren is willing to torture a character for information. So that
yeah.
puts him
He
into a
uses the Force
special
and
category of bad guy.
yeah, is able to draw, information out of
It
someone
also
painfully.
establishes him as being able to successfully use the Force to do something once again that we've never seen a Force user do. And then when he tries to do it to Rey and Rey resists him, it makes it that much more impactful and significant because we've already seen him succeed once.
Yeah,
So the difference between a Force sensitive person and a non-Force sensitive person, night and day. So kudos. That's what I call good storytelling.
yeah. And then she, realizes that she can try to use the mind trick. Seems to be a pretty low level Jedi thing, so I have no problem with it. And I know a lot of people said, "Oh, she's Mary Sue," but I don't think so because mind trick is it seems to be at least very easy for Jedi to do.
Yeah,
And
but it's
for
but
what it's
that's
worth,
after training though.
yeah,
Training
but
is what's missing here.
Luke
That's
did not.
exactly where the Mary Sue argument comes from, Josh.
Luke
You got to
had
respect that.
Luke had an afternoon of training.
Okay.
People like to say he had 6 months or something, but I'm sorry, it does not look like Luke and Leia were stuck on the Millennium Falcon for months. And it does not look like they were on Cloud City for months. It looks like they were there for maybe a day.
Okay.
So, I don't think Luke had any more training, maybe a tiny bit more training than Rey did. But Rey
Okay.
does
But
fail the
so
first
when's
time.
the first time that he tries to control somebody's mind, Luke? The
I don't know.
Gamorrean guards.
Well, that's the next movie, but
Possibly
that
6 months later, after training for months longer with Yoda.
well, didn't
And
you
those were
read?
Gamorreans. Those are brainless pigs.
Yeah,
So it's
but
just
didn't
not
you
a good
read Shadow of the
comparison.
Empire?
Huh? Yeah,
Didn't
I
you
read
read
Shadow of
Shadow?
the Empire. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return
Yes,
of the
but
Jedi. I
as we already established, that's not canon.
No, I know, but I'm trying to remember if he uses the Jedi mind trick in it. I don't
Well,
remember.
well, the only thing that we care about is the movies, and in the movies, he
Yeah.
doesn't use a Jedi mind trick until he uses it on Gamorreans after many more months of training,
Yeah,
presumably.
but we don't know that. We know that he didn't have a chance to use it in The Empire Strikes Back because the only person he encounters at the end of The Empire Strikes Back is Vader.
Vader, yeah. Well, I don't know. You say that it's appropriate for her to use mind control powers with no training. I say it's inappropriate. There's our two different opinions. The
Yeah.
audience
I
makes up
mean,
their mind.
we
We move
do,
on.
yeah. I mean, we know that she's force sensitive. You even said that she may be one of the very few or possibly only
Yes,
force sensitive people. So it's
yes.
possible that she is being imbued by the force with more power than she would normally have if she was born at a time when there were a ton of Jedi.
Yes, it
Because
is.
the force needs her to be able to do this. But the first time she does it, she fails.
But that's why the Mary Sue argument though. So whether like what you're saying is true, and I grant you that, I'm the one that actually said that. I'm the one that
Yeah.
described the fact that the force could be like nexusing in this one living being. But but that's where the Mary Sue argument comes from, and I respect and I understand it because of that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a hit on Daisy. I'm not even 100%
oh
sure it's a
no.
hit on Rey. It's more of a hit on the writers and like this is sort of writing 101. Like don't do this. It's very simple. Just like take the advice. You didn't go to college. I get it. You didn't take literature. I get it. You're probably not a reader yourself. I get it. But take the advice from a million fans. This
Yeah.
is not how you write a good character. That's all.
Yeah.
I
But in
respect
any
that.
case, yeah, like I said, I don't think this is a perfect movie. But in any case, she fails the first time, but then she does it again, and this time she succeeds and gets the stormtrooper to drop his weapon and release her. And I believe that stormtrooper, I could be wrong, but I believe that stormtrooper was actually Craig, Daniel Craig from James Bond.
Oh, okay.
I
You mean the
think
guy in the suit?
in the suit. Yeah, I
Well, that's
believe
a
that
piece of trivia I
stormtrooper.
didn't know.
Yeah, I believe that's him. I know he was in it, and I think that's the stormtrooper that he was.
I don't even. I think you're talking about the new James Bond, like the
Yeah,
Casino Royale James Bond.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I know him. I don't think I've ever seen a movie with him in it.
You've never
He's always
seen the
this.
new.
He's
You've
very
never seen the new
typecast. He's always
James Bond
no,
movies?
no, no. James Bond isn't James Bond without gadgets. I
He
took
has the
my leave of
gadgets.
James Bonds. I took my leave of James Bond when the bad guys started to get really insignificant, and the main character was not about high tech gadgets. James
He
Bond is
has
always about
gadgets.
a guy with high tech gadgets fighting some world dominating maniac. That's what makes James Bond cool to me. But that's just my
Uh,
opinion.
I don't know. I mean, he did have gadgets in the newer
Should I
movies,
watch
but
Casino Royale?
Casino Royale I thought was good, but not great.
Which one do you like with him in it?
Skyfall was the best.
Skyfall. Okay, I should see Skyfall. Okay, I will see
Skyfall,
Skyfall.
I
I will
don't
give him a
remember if
chance.
it. Skyfall might not have had that many gadgets in it,
The
but there's some
trait.
throwbacks.
See,
But it
there
had
you
a
go.
major. The villain though, it
Yeah, was
had
he world
an.
dominating, or was he just like trying to control a local? Was he just like a
I
local
don't want to.
warlord?
It wasn't a world dominating, but it was. He was impressive.
Okay, well,
Maybe it's because he was portrayed by Javier
I
Bardem.
will see it on your recommendation. But if it doesn't have gadgets and a world
It
dominating
does have
maniac,
gadgets.
it's probably not going to appeal to me.
It does have gadgets. He's not a world dominating maniac. He's a maniac, but he's not trying to take over the world. He's trying to do something much more specific. I don't
Oh,
want to
okay,
give it away. There
okay, yeah,
are
don't give it
gadgets
away.
in it, including some very nostalgic ones that I love. But yeah, I think Skyfall was the best of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. But I liked all five of them. Um, that's another movie I wouldn't mind dealing with later on.
But
But
anyway,
yeah.
he's the guy in the stormtrooper outfit. That's
That's
interesting.
what I heard. I don't know for sure. I know that he's in it as a stormtrooper. I don't know if he's that stormtrooper, but that's what I heard, that he's the stormtrooper that she does the Jedi mind trick on, and he releases her bonds.
Okay,
So, uh,
interesting.
um,
If
you
that's
know,
true.
if it's true.
Yeah.
So
And
then we
then
get,
Kylo has his tantrum, which I think
yeah,
is childish but
well,
hilarious.
yeah, I think that's the point. He's like I think everyone was expecting him to be more like Vader, where he just, when he gets pissed off,
Controlled.
he walks away, like at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. You
Yeah,
know he's
yeah.
fuming
Oh
because
yeah.
The Empire
That's
Strikes Back.
scarier.
Yeah, the look on Piet's face when the
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon jumps into hyperspace and Vader looks at the screen, like does a double take, and then he turns around and he walks out, and Piet is just like, "Don't kill me, don't
Somebody's
kill me,
gonna get
don't kill me,
killed
don't
here.
kill me, don't kill me," and yeah, but
Yeah, no, I
Kylo
think
Ren
that's
doesn't
scarier.
do that.
That's why parents have to exercise self control with kids, because as soon as you get enraged and throw a tantrum, the kid knows you've lost control.
Yeah,
You do not have control anymore. You can't even control yourself. What makes you think you can control me?
yeah,
And so when Kylo does that, it's funny, but it also kind of short circuits his intimidation, because it's like, okay, this guy is just a petulant child.
yeah. I thought that
He's
was. I actually really liked that
yeah,
about
yeah,
him.
perhaps appropriate. Yeah, perhaps appropriate,
Yeah, he wants to
because
be
he's really
Vader.
not Vader. He wants
Yeah,
to be Vader
he
so
wants to
bad,
be
but he's
Vader, but
not.
he is nowhere he's not even close
Yeah,
to the same league
yeah.
as Anakin
Which in
Skywalker
a
at the
movie
height of his power.
full of mimicry, I do appreciate the fact that at least they preserved Vader's, sense of
Yeah,
self control and did not give it all to Kylo.
yeah, yeah. So I really liked his tantrum. And then is that when they?
I
Yeah, so
love
they.
I love the stormtroopers that come up and they hear him
Yeah,
raging and they just
yeah. They
turn
just
around and
turn
walk
around and
away.
leave. Yeah,
That's a great moment.
yeah. That's like the open the blast door moment. Close the blast door. Open the blast door. Open the blast door. It's right out of
Yeah.
a Looney Tunes cartoon, but it works.
And then and so yeah, that was okay. So we were already past the destruction of the Republic thing,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So they make a plan to destroy the Starkiller Base.
yep,
Finn tells them that absorbs the energy of the sun, and once the sun is completely dead and all the energy is in that planet, then it will unleash massive destruction, which we've already seen, so we know it works. And they make a plan to go, and it's going to involve Han, Chewie, and Finn getting into the base to find Rey and also plant some bombs. Um, the detonators are going to destroy the shields, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah. So they go to
It's another meeting with rebel commanders and rebel pilots to discuss the destruction of an overwhelmingly large weapon. It's just it's so familiar, you know. It's just
yeah.
it's not that we don't love that scene, and it'd be nice to relive it, but it feels like more of something like a fan would make for YouTube than like a major multi-$100 million budget Disney movie. Just
Yeah,
my
but
just my opinion.
I mean their plan does involve a little bit more than, in A New Hope, where it was just a bunch of snub fighters fighting against the Death Star. This is more like Return of the Jedi, where
Return of the
you've
Jedi,
got,
right?
yeah, where you've got people trying to bring down the shields, and then a bunch of fighters are going to take it down. Um, so they get on board and or down. They get down to the planet, and they do rescue Rey, but that's because Rey has rescued herself. Um, so
Yeah,
they
Rey
they
never needs rescuing. That is not
no,
a thing.
but I'm okay with that because Rey is, she is a badass, and we know she's going to be a badass, and
I
I'm
think that kind of like the comment I said in the beginning about her being a nobody on a planet that has to suffer and go through pain and just like do everything she can every day just to be able to eat and live another day. That's the endearing part of a character. I think all it would take is for Rey to have a couple of moments where she's like, I think I got this, and like, oh, I don't got it. And then Leia's right there to go, that's okay. We all have to learn. Here's how you do it. One moment where Rey is like, I think I got this, but then she can't quite jump far enough and she's hanging by a thread and Finn has to reach down and pull her up. Those moments would have made her far more endearing. Those moments make a character real. They make a character approachable. They make a character relatable. Those moments are missing. So cast aside all of the animosity you have for the Mary Sue crowd out there. The reality is it's just good storytelling to have characters that are flawed, characters
yeah,
that need help, characters that have to rely on each other. When you have a character that doesn't need rescuing, doesn't need help, has nothing to learn from nobody, already knows everything, already can do everything, you can call it Mary Sue if you want. I know it pisses some people off, but I just call it uninteresting. Like, I think the best example I can think of this is Angelina Jolie in the first Tomb Raider movie. I love Laura Croft. I love all the Laura Croft games. I love Laura Croft as a character. Angelina Jolie is a perfect Laura Croft.
isn't
But in
it
the first
Lara Croft?
movie, what?
Isn't it Lara Croft?
You can call her Lara if you want. I'm going to call her Laura Croft.
Okay.
In the first Tomb Raider movie, she's indestructible. She's giggling while she's running around on the wall shooting all these trained assassins. She's laughing as she's running out of a cave at the end with an explosion going off behind her with a sled of dogs that she stole from somebody. Like everything through the entire movie, she's just indestructible, and it's boring. You compare her to Indiana Jones, and Indy is hurt everywhere he goes from the very beginning of the movie. He comes out of the cave and he's covered in spider webs and he's defeated by his archenemy and he has to give up the treasure and then he barely escapes by the skin of his teeth hanging onto onto a plane. He starts complaining about a snake inside, and the pilot in front of him is telling him to have some backbone after what he
Yeah.
just went through. Like he punches somebody and he breaks it. You could tell his hand hurts because we know that's what happens when you punch somebody. He gets so hurt that he's trying to rest in the boat, and Marion is like smacking him in the head with the mirror and stuff, and
Yeah.
like everything on his body is hurting.
Yeah.
That is what makes him so cool, because he hurts and he's real, but he keeps going. He's tough as nails because he hurts himself, but he keeps going. He needs help.
I agree.
Ray doesn't have
But
any of those qualities.
yeah, I agree.
And by the way, if you
But
pay attention, the second Tomb Raider movie fixed that problem because Laura
I
is
never saw
very
it.
Oh, the second one is great. I
never
love
saw
the
the first
second
one.
movie. Oh, well, okay. So you don't know what I'm talking about, but many people listening do. The
Yeah.
first movie, she's painted as indestructible. The second movie, she's still sexy. She's still brilliant. She's still wealthy. She's still world traveling, but she is wounded in that movie. She gets hurt. She needs help. You could see her vulnerability, and it's so endearing to her character. The two are night and day. Tomb Raider and Cradle of Life. I love Cradle of Life. I really don't like Tomb Raider. And that's a great example of how you could paint a Mary Sue character and how you can fix a Mary Sue character. That is the argument with Rey.
Mm-hmm. Well, point taken. Yeah, but I enjoy watching her. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
So did I, Josh. So did
maybe,
I. I'm giving respect to the argument is all I'm doing, and
yeah.
I see it as bad storytelling. The whole Mary Sue thing has erupted into a whole unnecessary debate about feminism and about indestructible females that don't need help from anybody. What I'm avoiding all that politics.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is it's good storytelling to make vulnerable characters that rely on each other because they can't do it on their own, just like none of us can do it on our own.
Right.
We
I
relate
agree.
to that. Yeah.
But in any case, so she's fine, and they manage to plant the bombs, and then they see Kylo Ren on that bridge, and Han confronts him. Hey everyone, I'm gonna cut it off there. This is a little bit of a shorter show because the next subject we're gonna talk about took a little bit long, and it was either make this episode really long and the next episode really short, or vice versa. So I'm opting to make this one a little bit short, and we'll continue our discussion next week on Cyber-Conversations, where we conclude our discussion on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. In the meantime, as always, remember, make tomorrow better than yesterday.